probably the biggest news bomb of the year, one of the biggest news bombs in a long time, was dropped this Tuesday when James Gunn came down from the mountains with his snow white hair and his glowing green eyes, and he foretold to us the future of the DC universe.
Yes.
So yeah, it's called Gods and Monsters, and the first thing that they kicked off with is, something that I'm sure they had to talk about. What are you going to do with Superman? Well, we're calling it Superman Legacy. It's coming out in 2025, and Gunn is already in the process of writing it.
Yep. They basically, like, I think he even said in like the little press conference that like, oh yeah, Cavill, like we never had a deal with Cavill.
Yeah.
Like, which is like hilarious because like everyone's like, oh, the Rock brought him back and everything. Like, no, the Rock,
no, he didn't,
bullied people into having him have a cameo in the hopes that they would give him a contract.
Rehire.
They didn't. Yeah.
The Rock had no power and authority, which makes, again, Cavill look kind of stupid that he agreed to do it on a wing and a prayer. But then again, you're reminded that Cavill's manager is also the head of the Rock's production company and his ex-wife. He seemed kind of squirreled. He seemed kind of bamboozled on the whole thing.
Yep. Gave up time playing The Witcher, to do this.
Yeah, well, he's going to be doing his Warhammer movie, so I guess it all worked out.
Yeah, we'll see if that actually happens. Yeah.
Of course, you can't have Batman, or you can't have Superman news without a piece of Batman news. They were sure to say that, the Batman series that's going on right now, that and Joker, they're going to continue to be their own thing. So we're going to be getting another new Batman in Batman the Brave and the Bold, which, hey, it's cool that they dug that title up.
Yeah, and just like the Superman one, it's not going to be an origin. It's going to be a little bit into Batman's career, and we're going to pick up
who Batman is.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you don't need to know his backstory again, and we're just going to pick up with him dealing with his son Damian.
Yes, perhaps the biggest addition and perhaps one of the biggest mic drop moments is, yes, Batman is going to finally have a Robin on the big screen. It's something you and I have been campaigning for forever on this show, basically since we started, because it's like, what else can you even do with Batman, especially because you have the Pattinson, the Batman series, which is, dark and more serious and more, detective comics. You should go brighter and crazier and more out there, and what better way to do that by finally accepting Robin.
Yeah, and not only that also implies that if they follow like how it is in the comics when Damian came in, that also implies that like the rest of the Robins and like the Bat family are a thing already.
Which is probably a great way to do it, because it's like, hey, are we going to learn about them? Yeah, probably in their own movies or TV shows or comics or video games or anything else we end up doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, to have the Bat family already be big and full and a chance to learn about, I think that would be exciting for people. And also man, I just wanted that for so long, to have a Robin. And I think Damian is the way to do it, because it's like, yeah, he's a kid, but he's a kid the audience doesn't have to worry about because he's been raised by assassins. He's also kind of an asshole, so they're being a little subversive in that we have a kid sidekick, but he ain't your granddaddy's Robin.
No, not at all.
Yeah, he's a Robin who says fuck, probably.
he says slurs on Fortnite, yeah.
Oh no, probably. Let's face it, Damian's totally that kid.
I saw a post that said like the kid, whoever the kid turns out to be who plays this character, is like, whoever he is out there right now calling someone a slur on Roblox.
There. Now, Wonder Woman, it didn't sound like she was going to be getting a movie per se, but the Amazons are going to be getting a whole show in Paradise Lost, which is kind of an interesting idea. It's almost like them saying, look, everyone knows Batman and Superman's history inside out, but Wonder Woman actually has so much interesting and compelling backstory that your average audiences don't know. So let's actually flesh that out before we actually meet Wonder Woman. That's an interesting idea.
That is, as well as he did say it's set before the movie, so like Wonder Woman technically is still carrying on, but as well I could see this also being as like, okay, this is the basis of like we can make a new Wonder Woman. Yeah, because you start like at this with like the history and stuff, and then go into like maybe a new movie or something.
Well, I mean, I was thinking, like, the main character has to be Hippolyta, right? We got to learn about Wonder Woman's mom, and that show has to end with her, making her deal with the gods and, forging her daughter out of clay. I would just, again, that great first 15 minutes of that animated Wonder Woman movie, just stretch that out for a couple seasons.
Do you reckon, what origin for Wonder Woman are they going to have? I can't even remember if the first movie, like, went into it all too much. I know she was a little girl
She was a
Like,
demigod.
yeah, yeah. So do you reckon they'll like redo it and it's like, she's now made of clay?
Well, the comics have reintegrated the clay origin. I
They
know you
have,
just read that Lazarus
yeah, which doesn't
tie-in
make
there.
sense because her actual Wonder Woman book doesn't mention that at all.
Well, it's back now. Heracles remembers. Heracles was there.
Well, Philip Kennedy Johnson wrote that, and if he says it goes, it goes.
You got Green Lanterns, which, Green Lantern has been in such a weird place, such a weird limbo in the DC sphere. We were supposed to get like a whole other HBO Max show that never happened.
Yeah, run by Greg Berlanti, and apparently that I swear that thing was starting to be filmed already. I swear,
I thought so
I
too.
swear it was like halfway through filming or something, but apparently it wasn't. So like they just like nixed it and just like went separate ways with him, and they're starting up this new one, which sounds a lot better and seems a lot more focused because that show went from an anthology to only focusing on Jay, and then
Yep.
I think it switched back to okay, we're gonna have a couple more lanterns be the focus as well. It couldn't decide what it wanted to be.
Yeah, it felt like it changed its mind several times over, and I'm like, oh, geez, I don't know about this anymore. But yeah, the pitch Gunn had for it, he's like, it's going to be True Detective, but with a science fiction bent, which is hilarious because the first season of True Detective actually did have a weird sci-fi freaking
Lovecraft
eldritch
sort of thing, yeah.
Lovecraft horror bent to it. So I'm like, okay, this might actually work then. And it's going to be a Hal and John buddy picture,
Yes.
which again, which screams to me they couldn't decide which one, and someone just threw up their hands and said, "Fuck it, we'll just do both at the same time." And it's like, okay, both is fine.
Yes, I'm really I'm happy that Hal is finally getting to be on the big screen again by someone other who's not fucking Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm so happy to see John there as well.
Absolutely. I think as like longtime geeks that we are and like big fans of Green Lantern, part of us always felt bad that Green Lantern is kind of the patient zero for the dysfunction at Warner Brothers and DC. Like had it worked, everything would have been so different. But the fact that it didn't changed everything, and Warner Brothers has been trying to chase that failure and make up for it forever. So yeah, it would be nice if Green Lantern and especially Hal got a redemption story.
Yeah, and Gunn did say that like their story is going to tie into the larger story being told in this first chapter. He didn't allude to like what what all of this is culminating in, but I have to imagine it will be some big threat. And when it comes to lanterns, I think like, oh, maybe Black Hand, maybe Necron, someone like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great space shit. The Dominators, there's all sorts of shit that you could have there where it's like, oh, they in their investigation end up finding just, a tip of the iceberg of some like big evil alien plot or conspiracy. Yeah. The White Martians.
Manhunters.
Manhunters.
Yeah, weaponeers of Quad, stuff like that.
Oh yeah. There's so much great shit that you can just wholesale steal from Green Lantern. Hell, Vandal Savage actually started as a Green Lantern villain.
There you go.
People forget that there's so much stuff that like started in a Green Lantern book and ended up going elsewhere.
Yeah.
He also seemed to imply that this was going to be a terrestrial adventure, so we're not going to be leaving Earth on this one. We're going to be dealing with alien stuff. Probably will get to space if they ever get to the movies or in a second season to up the ante.
Yeah, I also like that. That also implies we're probably going to be picking up with Hal and John as Lanterns already.
Yeah.
Like we probably won't get their origin. Might get John Stewart's origin just because we haven't had that told in live action, and they probably don't want to confuse people. It's like, no, he's not fucking Diggle on Arrow or anything like that or anything.
Yes, please. Again, if they are using True Detective as a basis, I wouldn't be shocked if they told the story out of order or if we got like a bunch of different flashbacks.
Yep.
Here's Hal in the Air Force, here's John in the war, here's, him trying to do some architect stuff.
Yeah, and I also like the idea that the whoever they cast for this are going to be in the films as well. Kind of like a Marvel TV sort of thing, where like the people who are in the TV shows go on to be in the movies and stuff like that.
It's very interesting because that's also what Gunn said. It's like, look, what we're doing is full integration, except for the stuff that was already in the multiverse, like Joker and the Batman. Everything is going to be connected: movies, TV, and games. Again, I keep coming back to that he said the games will eventually be canon to this as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess this is what you have with the benefit of foresight, where it's like, Disney eventually worked up to with the Marvel Universe, integrating TV shows and everything else, and they kind of gave a roadmap of how it works. Now, because they're restarting their universe, they're like, well, not all of these have to be movies, or some of these might not have to start as movies. They might actually do better as an 8 episodes of TV. And as we've seen with Peacemaker, James Gunn can do some fucking great TV.
He fucking can, yeah.
Some great TV with a lot of stuff that ends up actually spinning back into the movies and being important.
Yep.
Things like, hey, funny enough, Waller. Yes, that Waller show with Viola Davis that they were talking about is actually going to be coming, and I'm so psyched for it.
Yeah, it was kind of obvious this was going to stick around, because, again, this is probably going to be almost like Peacemaker season 1.5, like set between them, yeah.
Like he even said, this will be, Viola Davis's adventures with members of Peacemaker or Team Peacemaker stopping by. So probably Economist, probably, Gunn's wife.
Yeah.
because they worked for Waller anyway, and Peacemaker was just kind of them, living out a punishment. So now they get to kind of come back and everything.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll follow on the little plot thread from Black Adam where, like, because Gunn's wife, her character, she was like running that
hardcore,
she was like running that prison that Black Adam gets sent to, and
really?
Yeah, she was like running. She appears in the movie, and she talks with the JSA when they deliver Black Adam to him, and he breaks out of that prison, but like I think everyone else does as well in that prison. So
interesting.
So yeah, I don't know whether that'll be a through line.
Maybe. I guess we'll see. I've still never seen Black Adam, but I might have to just watch the hardcore parts for continuity. We got some stuff in the chat here. Nerdy Mastermind. Viola Davis is a queen and an amazing actress. Very excited. Agreed. I'm glad she gets her flowers. Yes. I'm glad she gets to lead a show after being such a good sport through that first Suicide Squad and everything. I'm glad she stuck around. And like Waller is just such a fucking fascinating character. And they got one of the writers from from that Watchmen show, which I've also not seen, and they got someone else really good to help showrun it. So that's good. Also, Michael Reese helping us out. Is anyone else worried them putting the Green Lantern show on Earth might be because they want to cheap out? Warner Discovery is trying to save money these days.
I'm not too concerned, especially because there's quite a fair few Green Lantern stories that do take place on Earth.
It's true.
Like that Green Lanterns book with Jessica and Simon was like exclusively on Earth.
That's true, it was. And like a lot of early HAL stories. So I think it's more a matter of them not wanting to go too big and too cosmic too early. I think they want to try and build up to it.
Yeah, they don't want to do fucking Darkseid and all that shit in the second film
exactly.
Build up to that sort of stuff.
And also they might have a good reason as to why they're staying on Earth.
Yeah.
Again, they could always have a good reason,
Well, the reason is Hal and John are Earth's that's their sector.
Yeah.
Them going off into space, in deep space, not being on Earth, it doesn't make much sense if this is their sector.
They could also have a reason too, where it's like, we've never had 2 Green Lanterns on Earth at the same time before. The Guardians say you have to stay here and work this out before you can go out to space again.
Yeah, and maybe it might end with one being the space guy and one being the Earth guy.
I wouldn't be shocked, and that's okay with me also.
Yeah.
Now, more stuff on the show front. Booster Gold is finally getting a show after several times of almost getting a show and almost getting a movie, showing that James Gunn is a fan and that he's listened to people. It's like, look, we're finally going to do something with Booster Gold. I know the concept writes itself.
It does. It really does.
And I'm sure someone had to grab him by the arm and go, no, you can't cast Chris Pratt in that role. You can't cast Chris Pratt in that role, but I wanna. Come on, lovable asshole. Come on. I want to do it. It'd be so good. But yeah, looks like he's getting a show. Looks like everything you like about Booster Gold is intact. Gunn again, made it very clear that he understands the appeal of the character, a loser in his time who comes back in time to try and become famous and become a great hero.
Yeah, it's great. It's great, great premise and everything. And I really hope as well they keep it set in, like, because it's set in Metropolis, that he's inspired by Superman and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'd like them to keep all that sort of stuff.
Opens a Planet Krypton restaurant.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of things that probably should have been a big deal by now, but weren't because of, fuckery outside the hands of those in control, Swamp Thing is getting a second kick at the can, which is, like, good.
Yeah, it's getting, I believe it was a movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah, movie. And there's been, like, heavy implications that James Mangold is going to be doing. Although I think it's been announced he is actually going to do it.
Good, yeah, the Logan guy.
Yeah, the guy who's currently just getting ready to put out his Indiana Jones film.
Ooh, which looks really good, actually.
Mm.
Excellent choice, too, because, again, you look at Swamp Thing and how important it is for transforming the genre of comics and how important it was to the success of Vertigo. It's like, man, these stories are such transformative classics that, like, should have been adapted 100 times over but never were.
Yeah, or were, and, like, were really shitty because they were, like, really cheap productions.
Like that old Swamp Thing show and the old cartoon, and even the HBO show, which again got canceled because of a fucking tax form problem.
Yeah, a fucking paper error, yeah.
Paperwork error. There's just so much great material there that is to be gleaned and to be mined. And again, James Gunn coming in thinking like how a fan would in this situation, be like, no, this stuff is excellent. Again, we barely have to try. It's all just here for us.
Yeah, we don't have to reimagine, like, vastly reimagine everything to make it work. It's literally there. There's a book right there that writes itself.
Also, too, Swamp Thing being one of the monsters in this Gods and Monsters pitch. I like the idea seems to be with this whole, chapter 1 that they're doing. Hey, you're going to get Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. You're going to get the Trinity. You're going to get the Pillars. But we're also going to screw around with other crazy ideas. You're going to get a Waller show, a horror show with Swamp Thing, a sci-fi comedy with Booster Gold. And the general thinking here seems to be like, look, we can't just keep going back to the Justice League well, especially after the last time we just did that. We need to make big hits out of our smaller tier characters because shit, if Eternals and Shang-Chi and everything else and Ant-Man can be these big successes on their own.
Yeah, hell, Gunn fucking made the Guardians of the Galaxy a household name.
If anyone understood the importance of building up your C&D list and making them household names and knowing that people come in with less baggage and less preconceived notions, it's the Guardians of the Galaxy guy.
Exactly.
Which, good on him for understanding that. Captain Coon helping us out. Working theory, ATM is they're going to build the Blackest Night since Swamp Thing can introduce the Green Lanterns, can show the other cores, then do Animal Man in the second half of Chapter 1 for the Red. Ooh, interesting, that's right, because Swamp Thing has so many connections to so many other characters and concepts that debuted in Swamp Thing, like the Red, like Animal Man, like John Constantine, who actually appeared first in a Swamp Thing story.
Yeah, is that fucking Keanu Reeves' second Constantine movie still happening? I haven't heard about anything from it until it was announced. That I don't know if that's actually going to be happening now.
I mean, that's also so just goddamn different from the actual comic Constantine. I feel like you could probably do both.
That's true, yeah.
Now, getting into some crazier ideas that we're doing, because like Swamp Thing, like that makes sense, but some ideas that I was not expecting, this one actually made me do a double take. Apparently one of Gunn's dream projects that he wanted to do for this, and he's putting it in Chapter 1, they're doing a goddamn Authority movie. They're doing goddamn Warren Ellis's Authority.
Yes, very exciting.
It's exciting and it's fucking wild too, because it's like, whoa, that team was meant to be like a parody deconstruction of not just the Justice League but comics in general. Is this did you look at the success of The Boys over on Amazon and be like, well, what if we do our own deconstruction? What if we beat them to it? What if we make fun of ourselves?
Well, not only that, but I also get a little bit of a feeling my Gun might not have meant it, but it is also meant to be like, we're gonna make fun of fucking Snyder and his bullshit.
A little bit, yeah, where it's like, look, we can make fun of the things that happened in the past and we can be a little too hip for the room. Also, Gunn seemed very interested in exploring the bigger themes and ideas of the Authority when he said, they're heroes who believe the world is broken and that only they can fix it by, like killing people and shit and not being traditionally heroic.
Yeah. Again, something that's kind of quite meta to DC because it's like,
Very.
DC's like movie world at the moment is very broken. And you got these heroes who want to come in and just force kill everything and kind of take over and everything. I think that's interesting.
And do it their own way. Absolutely. That could be a very, very interesting kind of like arm of that universe. I mean, shit, you play it right. You could, again, because this will be existing in a world with Superman, you could basically do your own take on what's so funny about truth, justice, and the American way with the Authority standing in for Manchester Black and his crew. And
then you can by a natural progression of character development, have the Authority become kind of like how they are currently, where they've turned on their ways and because of their adventures with Superman, they've decided, hey, no, Superman's way is actually the way to do things.
Yeah, you can soften them. And again, I know there was an article making the rounds being like, hey, now that Gunn runs the whole show, will his shows and his work have as much bite in them as the Suicide Squad did and as Peacemaker did? Because Suicide Squad just straight up said, yep, American government's the villain in this one. Everyone, they're the bad guys. They're using unsanctioned prison labor to, attack a foreign power. Isn't that fucked up?
Yep.
And then Peacemaker's like, yo, let's actively go and punch Nazis and let's have, white supremacists be our main villains and shit. Have Christopher be essentially a reformed white supremacist who has to go through all this change and evolution to, better understand himself and unlearn that thinking.
Yeah, and then who was also used as a scapegoat by the government. It's like, no, he really is a terrible person. He did all this stuff. We didn't do any of that sort of stuff.
They also address climate change and then even circle back to the idea of negative and positive peace and be like, well, maybe Peacemaker should have actually let the aliens complete their plan because God knows us humans won't be able to save ourselves. God, Peacemaker has so much going on under the hood.
It's so good. It's so good.
We got some more super chats here. Tevya, do you think we'll get Authority versus JLA? I mean, they'll have to do something with the JLA first. I know they technically exist.
Not right away, no.
Yeah, not right away they won't. Mike Reese, Authority feels like a peace offering to the Snyder fans. Maybe, but again, it's also a parody deconstruction. So it's a peace offering wrapped in a middle finger.
They won't fucking understand that. I said when it was first announced, they're gonna find out about who Midnighter is and be like, holy fuck, I love this character. He looks fucking awesome. He's killing people. Yep. And the first thing he's gonna do in the film is kiss his husband. And they're gonna flip shit. Very much. And they're just gonna flip shit.
I'm really excited for that too. That my mom, general audiences will eventually learn all about Midnighter, the superhero leather daddy with a computer in his brain who's kind of a parody of Batman and is, in love with his longtime husband, Apollo, the Superman of this world. Oh, and he kills people and will completely wreck your shit. I think there's a whole generation of gay comic fans who are gonna be like, oh hell yeah, finally, the gay guy ain't dying in this picture. We ain't hiding our queers. The queers are punching faces. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be so good. And I cannot believe that the Authority is a thing.
It's great. It's great.
Another interesting thing about everything that Gunn has been doing is that a lot of these ideas, All-Star Superman, Brave and the Bold with Damian, I'm sure you noticed the theme, Matt, as well as I did, where it's like, oh, a lot of these are newer things he's adapting. He's not going back to the golden age. He's not even doing what Marvel is doing now, where they're mining the weird 70s and 80s. He's doing more modern shit, right down to the most modern thing. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, that Tom King book from just a couple of years ago?
Just last year.
Just last year is getting a whole full-on adaptation. I'm like, really?
Yeah, that one really surprised me the most.
Same.
Not because of it's oh whoa, fucking Tom King. It's a great fucking book. It's really fucking good. Tom King knows how to write the Superman family. Just keep him away from the fucking Bat family.
I remember there was a big thing there, Tom King was going to be leaving comics to go work on movies. He was working on that New Gods movie that didn't happen. Is this them throwing him a bone where it's like, hey, thanks for being a good sport. Sorry that other stuff didn't happen. We'll adapt this, and maybe he'll get like a producer credit or something.
Maybe, yeah.
Someone in the chat saying Tom King is also in the DCU writers' room. Well, that checks out too. Then.
Yeah, well, I think he's also in it just because they are adapting his work, so bring him in to like, yeah.
I hope he gets like a good credit there, because that would also be nice moving forward. Like, hey, DCU under Safran and Gunn, are you guys going to be supporting creators' rights more than the last regime did? Because DC especially has a bad history with not honoring creators, especially the ones who are still alive. Like friggin' Jerry Conway had to piss and moan endlessly about Firestorm and all those CW shows that kept using his characters, with A, not paying him, and B, not even giving him a credit. Let us also not forget the famous Green Lantern, made famous by Jeff Johns.
Yeah, Jeff Johns created the Green Lanterns, yeah.
Oh, I didn't say I created him. I just said I made him famous. I'm like, I think the original creators had something to do with it, but sure, Jeff,
the original creator, Jeff Johns, yeah.
Yeah, that was just like the height of hubris on that, where I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? They apparently did that a lot. Jimmy Palmiotti told a great story where they wanted to put his name on that Jonah Hex movie, be like, made famous by him. and Palmiotti's like, no, I don't agree with that. So his name didn't get on it. And he's like, man, am I happy my name didn't get on that?
Dodged a bullet there.
Dodged a big old bullet on that one. So yeah, we're also getting a Superman and a Supergirl. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's, again, and all of this, there's only one Batman related thing.
It's nice, isn't it? Also, nice. Is this going to be the same Supergirl from Flashpoint? Because they seemed like they wanted to spin her off and give her a movie, but Flashpoint might be rewriting everything right now, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah, well, I know Gunn did say that like certain like in an actual DC Comics reboot, some things will carry over, some things won't. So, I mean, maybe she might carry over. I mean, it'll be only, from what I understand, she's like a second lead in that Flash film, so maybe if people like her, maybe they'll carry it over.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I guess that's a wait and see. And lastly, an animated property, which I love that they announced an animated property along with everything else, Creature Commandos, which is coming to the app, and Gunn wrote this, and Gunn's like, yeah, I already wrote this.
Yeah, this is that secret project he was writing.
Yes, it is. I fucking love that it's Creature Commandos. I love that it's weird. I love that it's fucking monsters.
And it's going to technically be the first thing in this new universe.
Yes, which is a really interesting way to start it off. Gunn also made it very clear that, he wants, characters who play the live action versions of these characters to voice themselves in the cartoons and the games and vice versa, which, will certainly make sense on paper. It actually really pissed off the voice actors union, where they're like, hey, so you're going to be horning in on our work here?
Hey, well, I mean, if that's how they want to run it, it's their prerogative to run it like that. They don't have to hire people who are voice actors.
No, they don't, but I can understand as a voice actor, be like, oh, so you're just going to cut us out of this new thing, huh? All right, fair enough. And also, too, because a lot of voice directors are also voice actors themselves and, like, work with the same thing. I can understand where it's like, hey, I think that's just, like, it's not that you're not going to be in it, voice actors. You're just not going to be in the main leading roles is what it sounds like. Yeah,
you can still be in it, but, you just won't be voicing, Frankenstein or something.
Yeah, you just won't be getting the top billing or getting paid the big bucks.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, too, because it's like, well, hey, some actors do both. Like, Carrie Payton is, like, a very respected voice actor and does, like, acting in movies and shit.
Oh, maybe he might be in it. Never know.
I mean, it's a DC project, so, yeah, of course Carrie Payton's
of course
Carrie Payton's in all of them.
Yeah,
He's their good luck charm.
Yeah, he's done with Walking Dead, so, yeah, he can be in it.
Stephen Ogg, I think there is, like, a very small but, like, very good group of actors who actually do both, who do voice and camera.
Yeah, you got to be really careful, as well as not just like who do both, but also fit in both. Because some you could, he's got a great voice, but he doesn't really look the part.
The chat saying too, Cree Summers. Yep, she's another excellent example of a person who does both.
Yep.
Erica Ishii, another person who I quite like who does both. Yeah, technically Mark Hamill. I mean, Mark Hamill's in a weird position because he started as an actor and then became a super respected voice actor after the fact.
Yeah.
Sure, there's like a whole generation of people who are like, oh, he's Luke Skywalker,
Yeah, and then a whole nother generation who's like, he's the Joker,
Exactly, right? When he shows up on What We Do in the Shadows, it's like, hey, he does this, right? But yeah, so there's your slate, everyone. There's Gods and Monsters, Chapter 1 of a brand new 8 to 10 year plan for the DC universe, and I mean, I'm tickled.
I'm excited. It sounds great.
Love all of it. Have no reason to complain about any of it. Give it to me now. Is it 2025 yet? I am totally excited for what we're getting here and what we could potentially be getting later on after this, because it's like, wow, if you're starting with like Swamp Thing and Creature Commandos,
yeah, then what are we going to get after the Sergeant Rock and all of those guys and like the JSA, JLA, all these teams? It's fantastic.
Yeah, like literally the entire world is open just because you used a couple lower tier characters, some beloved C and D listers. It opens up your world in a big way.
It builds out that world.
Yeah, like the world that they're proposing here already feels much bigger and much deeper than the one we just had, because you only concentrated on lead characters.
And it feels like a comic book world as well.
Yeah, exactly, where a Swamp Thing can hang out with a guy from the future, can hang out with space cops, can hang out with Batman and Superman.
Yeah.